Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy snow day. We're late. Hobby Evolution is running 18 minutes late due to the snow. I actually will. Usually when I'm late now, it's my own fault. At the old house, I could blame, the internet sucks. That toothpaste. I could blame the internet. I could blame the coffee. The coffee maker's been working. Now it's just I just laid in bed for an extra 18 minutes. We did get snow. It looks like it's stopped, but I think it's going to start back up. Doesn't look like we got too much. Looks like there's only a few inches. We're supposed to get 4 to 8 inches. If this is all we get, it's nice. It's a nice snowfall. I have a feeling we're going to get more. When we were my wife and I were talking about it yesterday, because she's supposed to have some appointments today. I said, well, I don't know if you should do those appointments. It looked like it was going to start at 6 a.m. this morning. But there's already quite a bit of snow on the ground, and it's not snowing. So I think it started a little earlier. My mom is down about 2.5 hours south in Illinois. And she said it started snowing around 8 last night. And I saw on Facebook this morning, like the Peoria, really nasty in the Peoria area, travel-wise. So if you don't have to get out, don't. And that's what I'm gonna practice what I preach today. Depending on how it is, I may get. Fortunately, I am like yesterday. I was burning through shipping because I didn't know if I would get to the post office today. So I'm ahead of my shipping schedule on eBay. So, and I mean, for 2 reasons, I wanted to, just in case I'm not able to go to the post office, which is only 2 miles. Like, it's not like a dangerous commute to the post office, though you don't want to go out in a blizzard. I wanted to get ahead of that. Plus, it's Cubs convention week. It's a short week for me. So I'll be hitting the road around like 11 o'clock on Thursday. So I want to make sure I'm completely caught up on my shipping before the Cubs convention. I was thinking about commutes and snowstorms, like snow days. Snow day? We don't get snow days as adults. And I feel bad for kids, man. Kids today, I mean, the internet's really cool and all, but do you really think about yourself as a kid? Do you want your entire childhood, like every stupid thought you had, every dumb party you went that is now videoed and viral? Like, oh my God. Thank God social media wasn't around, because I was a really dumb kid and young adult. I made stupid decisions, and I was like a cocky at, remember, I grew up in if you're of my age, most of you are, we grew up with AOL, Hotmail chat, whatever Hotmail, MSN or whatever that was. AOL chat was big. Chat rooms, like me and my friends would think it was fun. We'd go in chat rooms and just say stupid shit. Like, can you imagine having a Twitter account? And that's why all these young athletes are getting in trouble, because they were dumbass kids like me. Damn. So I don't know where I was going with that story. I don't know where I'm going with any stories, but kids today. I feel bad for kids today because there's no such thing as a snow day anymore. I saw a post this morning. That's what I was doing. Why were you late this morning? I was looking at Facebook. I was scrolling through Facebook, and one of the schools is a remote learning day. See, COVID ruined snow days. So did the internet ruined the surprise of a snow day. More on that. But now, everyone's adjusted, because during COVID we had we had to adapt to not going anywhere, learning from home. So now schools and students are equipped to learn from home, do school from home, Zoom and all that BS. So now a snow day, it's like, oh no, we want that state money if they get any state money anymore. I know in Illinois it's few and far between, but there's no such thing as a snow day. It's a remote learning day. I saw also on Facebook, like I get all my news from Facebook. Good, bad, and false. Somebody had posted their teacher and their district didn't use a single snow day last year. I'm like, I can see both. Like as an adult, I can see both sides. Like as a kid, you want to use 10, 15 snow days, but it comes at a cost at the end of the school year, which you don't take that into account. It's like right now I want snow day. I don't want to go to school today. Well, that means you have to go to school. I remember my parents telling me that. Well, like you've already had 5 snow days. Like if you have another, you have to go until June. That was always because we got out early. Like our school year ended like middle of May. So that was always, my dad would always tease me like, oh, any more snow days, you're going to be going to school in June. And I'm like, no way, Dad. I'm not going to school in June. So, there's that. Also, remember the surprise of a snow day? Like, I mean, today's what, Tuesday? Monday night. I mean, they've been talking about this snowstorm for a week. I don't think we had that far advance of meteorology back in the 90s. Maybe we did. But they were talking about this. I remember like talking for a few days at least. I think now they probably have always had this or since technology, I don't know. But I think now they're just like, oh, look what's coming. And it's just like clickbait, all that BS. So we had that surprise element because we didn't have the internet growing up. You had to listen to the radio. Remember radio? There were like studios in all these towns, provided a signal, and you turned on this dial. It's kind of like the TV, but it was audio only. And you'd wake up in the morning. Actually, Mom would wake up in the morning. I want to sleep. You're hoping you get to sleep in. All of a sudden or you can watch the TV and scrolling on the ticker like this, like my 99-cent store on eBay, scrolling on the ticker. You're like, oh, and it's usually in alphabetical order. So it's like, oh, my school's not on there. And then the next go around, yes, they canceled school today. Oh, it was like Christmas morning. You don't get that. Now they're like canceling it the night before. Like, well, Snowmageddon is coming, so school's closed tomorrow. And you can get it anywhere. You don't have that. You're not like staring at the TV screen, watching the scroll. Is my school there? Yes. No, we got to go to school today. And as adults, we don't get snow days. If we can choose, we can choose to have snow days, but it comes at our vacation. Again, you can take a snow day today, but you're going to have to cut one day off your vacation in July. So I had this coworker who would always complain about driving in the snow. And this coworker lived like the closest to the office of anybody out of the 20 people in the office. In the city, not like out in the middle of nowhere, not driving through the country, like in the city where there's snow-plowed roads, there's emergency routes. It might take you 3 minutes longer to get to the office. It's dangerous to drive. That's what they said. It's dangerous. We shouldn't have to go to work. What? Now, let me also tell you, this same coworker, during the middle of the COVID pandemic, made the decision to buy a plane ticket in the middle of the pandemic to fly to Las Vegas to drink and gamble. But driving 2 minutes in the city was dangerous with 6 inches of snow on the ground. I've always laughed at that. What? So no snow days here. It's just going to be shipping and listing and shipping, which was what I was going to do anyway. But at least now it's like you don't have that. That's what I always say. Well, now that I'm snowed in, I will do all of this. It's like, well, I would have done all that anyway. Like, it's not like I'm going places anyway. I would have shipped and listed and shipped anyway. Let's go to the chat. What's going on, chat? It's a snow day. Shane's in the house. Good morning. Ryan is here. Good morning. He says it's cold as shit. I haven't been outside. My computer says it's 32, which I think below like 70 is cold as shit anymore. What do we got here? It's going to be like colder than shit next week. We're 32 here. Next week, we've got lows of -7, -11, and -12 next week. My wife will be on a Tuesday when it's -12. My wife will be on a plane to South Florida. Lucky her. And I'll be hunkering down, hiding from the cold weather. Boston Smoke is here. Good morning. Cardinals hire, is it Chaim? Chaim Bloom. Great news for the Cubs. So apparently the Red Sox don't like him. I thought he was really good. I did not hear that. I hope that's good news for the Cubs. Troy's in the house. What's up? Good morning. Kyle is here. Good morning. Peter's in the house. What's happening? David is here. Good morning. Brian, he's got a snow day. He made bacon. Kids love me today. Well, that's good. Making bacon on the snow day. Peter's in the house. He says, rough commute in that weather. It was. Took me an extra 3 seconds to gawk out the window. Snow? Look at the snow. They've been predicting this for a week. It came. We got snow. How many pictures will be on Facebook today? Look at how much snow we got. With a meter stick or a ruler stick or whatever the hell they. What's up, Donald? Good morning. Billy Joe's in the house. Good morning. Victor is here. Sloppy, messy day in Chicago. Hey, but at least you're celebrating a win. Michigan Wolverines, national champions. Looked like a good game. I think I watched like 3/4 of it. I could watch 3/4 of it because they didn't start it at like 8:00 like most national championship games. It's like the Super Bowl and apparently the college football national championship. They start at like a normal time for me in the Midwest. The others, it's like 8:30 kickoff. Like, what? I watched like the first quarter and I'm sleeping. But I watched most of the game. And it sounded like it was a good game all the way through. Like, I didn't really care. Like, well, how could you only watch 3/4? It was a good game. Well, it's because I just didn't care. It's like, it was entertaining while I was awake, and then I went to bed. But it looked like a good game. Michigan wins, beat Washington. There's only one college football. I'm still salty about this 20, I think exactly 20 years later. I think it was 2004. Was 2004 Texas USC, Reggie Bush versus Vince Young? I didn't see a minute of that football game. The girl I was dating at the time, and how old was I? In 2004, 22. Like when you're young like that, you're like, it's our 6-month anniversary of dating at 22. And so we were adulting. Because when you're 22, it's like you're at the beginning of life. And so you celebrate these dumb things. So we did a bed and breakfast. Because that's like, now it's like, I don't want to go to a fucking bed and breakfast. We did a bed and breakfast. And it just happened to be because it was on our 6-month date. It was like whatever January, whatever it was. That was our the exact 6 month since we had started dating, and which happened to be a Monday night college national championship game, Texas USC, and the next day, probably reading about it in the newspaper because it was 20 years ago. Or if I read it online, I was like at a desktop computer. We didn't have phones with the internet back then. And I remember seeing the score and, oh, it was the greatest game ever. And I'm like, you gotta be effing kidding me. Still to this day, I regret missing that game. Johnny M's in the house. Good morning. Running Buck Woodcraft in the house. Good morning. Shane is here. Sadly, I have to go out. I have no coffee. Oh, man. You were supposed to prepare. You had a week to prepare, man. I prepared. I went out and got beer and envelopes. What am I going to do? I'm going to drink beer and I'm going to ship baseball cards. Because we're going to be homebound for 12 hours. So that's the funny thing. It's like, how did we cope in the 80s and 90s without the internet? Well, we ate bread, milk, and eggs, and we read books by the firelight. And then we actually went outside and played. Like now, it's like, I'm not going outside. There's snow on the ground. Like as a kid, man. Going outside. I think that's going to come back. I think there's a generation, I think like the end of my generation and maybe a little bit younger. We were like part of the video game generation. And I think it was like, if you're 41, I'll be 42 this year. I think at that age, you were like right at the beginning, like we grew up with Nintendo, like we grew up with video games. Like as we grew up, so did the video game systems. Like Nintendo came out. Like I don't remember Nintendo until I was like 6, 7 years old. And I know it was out before then. But I think I got my Nintendo in 2nd grade. And it was a surprise. My mom, like on a Friday after work, brought me home a Nintendo. I don't know what year 2nd grade would have been. Oh, yawn. It's the hoodie making me yawn. I don't know how old. Does anybody have a 2nd grader? How old are you in 2nd grade? But that's like kind of around that time, like kindergarten, maybe. I feel like I was always like 2 years behind. So I think Nintendo came out in like 1984 or 85, but it wasn't like mainstream, kind of like the internet. The internet came out in like 1990 or whenever. But like people weren't using like normal people, average people weren't using the internet until like 95, 96, at least in my bubble. And I think the same with Nintendo. It was like 2 years before me because I was like 2 years behind on Sega, 2 years behind on Play. But that's what we grew up with, Nintendo and then Sega or Super Nintendo. It was like you were it was like Pepsi Coke. You were either a Sega guy or a Super Nintendo guy. I was a Sega. I was team Sega. Sega Genesis. That was my thing. And then it was PlayStation or Xbox. You were either team PlayStation, team Xbox. I was team PlayStation. So I was Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation. Wait. Yeah. And then I haven't owned a video gaming system. Actually, I own a Nintendo. Thanks to Nuke. I own a Nintendo, the original. Otherwise, the last video game system, the newest video game console that I've owned was the regular Xbox. And it would have been about 20 years ago, like 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in that vicinity. I got it. I had a neighbor. We'd play there's a boxing game that we would play, probably Madden. And that was like it. Played like 2 games. And then I got better things to do. I was never a gamer. And see, I think that's like of my age. Like you grew up and you just kind of adapted to the new things. But I think the younger generation, like they were like certain, and yeah, I guess you had to be of certain, because there's guys my age that are like super gamers. and there's people younger than me that don't game. So it's not like everybody of my age was not gaming or gaming. But I just kind of feel like a majority, we kind of came in at the tail end of or the early, not tail end, but early of video games. Hey, video games are perfect for a snow day, man. I loved as a kid. Oh man, especially if it was like this time of year. It's like 2 weeks removed from Christmas. I'd always get like new games for Christmas, like NBA Live. Oh man, and I'd be like, it's like this snowstorm they've been predicting for like a week. So in this scenario, I'd be in study hall or class. I've got my new NBA Live game. I'm like, there's a snow day. I'm going to play a tournament. I'm going to make this huge tournament. And I'm going to play it on the snow day. And then you're just like, yes, snow day. I get to play out my tournament that I drew up in study hall or English. Max is in the house. He says, just another wintry day in the Midwest. Don't drive stupid and everything will be okay. Matty Ice, good morning. Max says, speaking from experience, it doesn't bother me one bit. Back in my radio days, I had to drive like all over the place. It didn't bother me. It bothers me more now because I don't have to go anywhere. Like all of my work is right here. I don't have to leave the house unless I go to the post office. And I can take a day, I can take today off if it's like a foot of snow, but the post office is like 2 miles away. It's not going to bother me unless, it's like, I'm just going to stay in. But I think my worst experience in a snowstorm / blizzard was in 2009 or 2010. I was in radio. And I had created a website, the Illinois High School Sports Network. And so the idea for the website was back in the early days of web streaming, it would be hard to find like radio stations that are streaming games. And I would post on this message board called IllinoisHighSchoolSports.com. And they would have like, it was basically like it was just a high school sports forum. It's still up. And so it'd be like this game, catch this game. And it's all like, and then you had to go all over the place to find the links or what games are being broadcast. And I'm like, man, I wish there was a platform where you could like stream everything from one site. It was kind of ahead of its time. Like, and then now there's like 3 or 4 different like national platforms that are doing this. But I had no idea on the technology side to launch anything like that. So basically what my website was, Illinois High School Sports Network, was it was a place where you just go, it was ihssn.net. No longer, actually I think it's like a foreign website now. But you go to the website and then boom, and it started with football. So like the playoffs, the football playoffs got like an amazing amount of hits. Like 30,000 a day. It's crazy. For me, it was crazy. And then like it had like the logos, and then you clicked and it just took you to the radio station link. Or the link took you to the radio, and that was like and here you go. Oh, 3:00. It's Anawan versus Cambridge. Click, boom, you're there. So that was my idea. So I also, not only that, but then I started branching out and I bought some of my own equipment to broadcast. And this was early on too. You had to have like, you didn't have, eventually you were able to, I was able to use something. It was just a USB plug-in. It was like internet. It was at the time, it was only like $60 a month. It was like before, like you basically use your phone I don't even know if it was my phone. It was like a Wi-Fi. I don't know. I'm sure they still have, but this was like early on anyway. So then I started using that. And I would broadcast games and I would go all over. And then 2009, 2010, I sought to broadcast 150 basketball games in one season. It's like an average of 10 games broadcasting play by play, 10 games in a week for the course of 3 months. And I did 153 that season. I would do 7 games in a day. I'd go to a shootout and broadcast every single game. I would have, I wouldn't even be able to talk the next day because I talked so much. So I did 153 games that year. And then I decided I was poor. I worked in radio, so I was poor. I didn't have any money. I couldn't take vacation, but I had vacation days to use. It's like, but the only thing I do is this. Like, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll use my vacation days to go broadcast. So one trip, of course, this is winter in Illinois, and surprisingly, I was still able to. It was a fairly, until this story, a fairly light winter. But I decided to do some games down south, the deep south of Illinois. About a 5-hour drive to Benton, Illinois, home of Doug Collins. Benton, Illinois, I did a tournament there, and then I did, I think, Carmi White County, which were like, it was like teams you only read about online because it was so far away from me. So it was like middle of the week. I think it was around this time. It was January. It was a couple weeks into January, I think. And so getting down there was okay. So I drove, I think Carmi White County was my first night. It was just 2 nights. It was the first night I did 3 games at Carmi White County. And then the second night was 3 games in Benton. And I remember a snowstorm, an impending snowstorm. And I had to take I-72 that goes across the southern tip of Illinois over to St. Louis, or 70, maybe it's 70. But I remember driving back, and once I got close to, I remember the Lebanon exit near St. Louis, and it was just like completely white out. And I'm white knuckling. I'm driving in this fucking blizzard for 3 hours of the 5-hour trip. And it started snowing like a half an hour into my trip. It's like I've got 4.5 hours. And so I left right after the last game. It's like 9:30 at night, and I'm driving 5 hours plus whatever extra time it takes me because I'm driving into a blizzard. I got home at like 5 a.m. I mean, it took me like 7.5 hours to get home. Then I get home at 5 a.m. I slept for 3 hours and went into work. Did like a half day at the station, and then I drove up to the Quad Cities. We didn't get as much snow up, where we were at. Up to the Quad Cities and did Galesburg versus Alleman in Rock Island. And then I think Friday I might have done Friday night was probably just a Silver Streaks basketball game in Galesburg. And then I think I did like a tournament Saturday. Oh my God. Like I look back at that and it's like, what the hell was I thinking? And I didn't get paid. Like I took vacation to drive through a blizzard to broadcast games for free. It's like, what the hell was I thinking? That's when you're young and dumb, you just do dumb shit. That's probably my worst blizzard driving experience. 5 hours in a freaking snowstorm. It wasn't 5. It was probably, I think it started snowing a half an hour into my drive. But there was a solid like 2.5 hours of that trip that was pretty nasty. That took me a lot longer than 2.5 hours. Ryan says, might be just me, but has anyone noticed the eBay algorithm? Once you send an offer to a watcher, 7 out of 10 times I'll have someone buy the cart full price. I'll take it. It is something wacky. I've noticed that. Like I'll send offers and then all of a sudden I get hits at full price. It's another reason. Send those offers out, man. It's touches because sometimes the people accept the offers Sometimes it's wacky with the algorithm and maybe it boosts that item up to the top of search and somebody buys it at full price. But yeah, I'll see it and I'm like, hey, I'm like you, I'll take it. Heck yeah. Flipping Sports Guy, what's going on? Our school district gives 4 traditional snow days. They don't do virtual till the 5th day. That's interesting. I think, and I can only speak to Illinois because that's where I know people from. And I just know from like reading their Facebook posts. I think they pick and choose, and I think it's district by district, which it sounds like yours is too. So they go 4 snow days, and then it's a remote learning day, virtual learning day. I just saw the post today. It was, and I think it's their first. This is in Macomb, where Mark Twitchell's at. Shout out to Mark. And Dave Arnold. But Dave teaches at Bushnell. I think Bushnell has a snow day today. So Dave's not here. He's sleeping. So I think they just pick and choose. Like, well, we're not going to school, but it's going to be a remote learning day. Low Rollers in the house. What's happening? Christian says, good morning. Missed most of yesterday's show. Listened in replay. Sorry I missed all the Eric Kramer talk. He is one of my all-time favorite Lions and a great personal story. Yeah, kind of a sad story, but a redemption as well. I didn't realize he played less time with the Lions than he did with the Bears. Because somebody's like, I remember him with the Lions. And I think I kind of remember him more with the Lions too, even as a Bears fan. But I think he played, 3 years with the Lions, 5 with the Bears? Like, I was shocked by that. Bitcoin hit 47K. Shit's more practical now. All schools up here are full snow days. Must be Illinois schools. Yeah, I don't know anything about Wisconsin schools. But yeah, a lot of Illinois schools are snow days or remote learning days. Bitcoin ETF is about to approve this week. Did you hear the Bears exit interviews went well? They didn't show up for the 18th Street week, but Johnny still gets snow days in New York. Orlando's here. Good morning. Mark says, good morning. I'm so old, we were notified by a telephone call at 6 a.m. Snow days meant tackle football in our local park. That was the best, man. Playing football in the snow. It was AM radio for us, KYW. We were school number 316. Did you dye your hair to hide your age? You sound much older than you are with all these do you remembers. I didn't pull a Brian Gray. Please update the ticker. No snow days in the hobby. Right. You have to go to work today. John says you'd have to listen to 315 numbers before us. Cliffhanger. Johnny says, me too, Mark, but the drivers had to put chains on the tires. Needed almost 2 feet of snow to get a day off back then. Now they close if 8 inches is predicted. Back in my day, 8 inches, like that's what we're getting here, and they're canceling snow. But we always had I assume you're in the Northeast where we don't get 2 feet of snow here. They were calling this a once in a decade snowstorm of 8 inches. And I think the station was down probably Quad Cities area where they're getting a little more, like Northern Illinois is getting more than what we're getting here in Southern Wisconsin. So they were calling 8 to 12 inches a once in a decade weather event. We don't get those 2-footers. Low Roller says the downside today, kids, no snow day, no problem. You still have to go to school since they have online school. There you go. Yep. Nana boo boo. Yeah, you can tell back in my day, we had snow days. We didn't have to go to school. We didn't have the internet. Philly Joe, KYW, News Radio 1060. We had our go-to was AM 1500 WGEN, Geneseo. And I would later work for that radio station. And now it's dark. Neil's in the house. Good morning. Johnny M says, been shipping and listing since 5:30. Shipping done. Off to the post office shortly. Low Roller says, unless the post office closes due to the snowstorm, you can't do anything shipping at all. Yes, I can. You can tell your buyers, blame the weather. I mean, I'm not driving anywhere to ship my cards. They're next door. There's no snow. Oh, let me check before I say there's no snow. Oh, there's no snow between me and the shipping area. Value Box Digger, I just came to see the snow. Where is it? We've got snow. We got about 2 inches on Friday. It is snowing again. It is snowing back up. It looks like we only got, I don't even know, like just judging by what's out my window. Oh shit. I don't think we really got anything. We got like an inch maybe on top of what we got Friday. I can still see some blades of grass in my backyard, but it is snowing again. We're supposed to get up to 8 inches. Neil says, I am heading to South Florida next week too. There you go. And I'm just going to be hanging out in snowy Wisconsin. Philly Joe, I'm singing the jingle. Raphael's in the house. What's going on? Penix played like shit, says Shane. The reporter on an overpass with a yardstick is classic, right? Like they send it's like, just put a camera somewhere. Like you have to send these poor interns out into the freaking foot snow. It's snowing. There's a lot of snow. Look at the yardstick. And then of course you have the classic when it's 20 below zero, the classic throw a glass of water into the air and watch it crystallize in midair. Max says, I love that you get angry at the entire basis for social media. I don't get angry about social media does, like there's a lot. Social media is our Coke bottle. If you've watched The Gods Must Be Crazy and how the Coke bottle destroyed their tribe, that's what social media does to us. But there's also a lot of good with social media. I mean, I would not, if it weren't for social media, I would not be, well, obviously, I would not be here on YouTube. But I also would be driving in the snow to an office somewhere. So social media is good, but there's also a bunch of annoying shit about social media. I guess with anything, there's good and the bad and the ugly. John says, yes, Bo, stop shipping immediately. I wish things were as simple for me as they are for LRS. Rep and Rajon, what's going on? Good to see you. Welcome back. John says, is putting a dab of mayo in your coffee a thing yet? I've heard that. I've never done it. Or wait, who did that? Somebody did that. That's not a thing. Butter coffee's the thing, not mayo. Who did the mayo in the coffee? Mayo in the coffee. This is from foodrepublic.com. Mayo can make coffee taste better. Even vinegar and lemon aren't as unheard of as one might think. The latter is a key ingredient in espresso romanos. Mayo's combination of eggs and oil mirrors the effect of butter when whisked into coffee, adding a certain creaminess to the beverage. Oh, it's Will Levis. Will Levis does his mayo in the coffee. Like you're not getting a 30-ounce jar like Shane is, wherever he's getting the $8 mayo. Just a little dab will do, apparently. Low Roller's got a new video. Go check it out. Unicorn Cupcake, what's going on? By the way, Unicorn Cupcake's going to be set up at the Madison Card Show Saturday, January 27th. I bought 6 Pete Lecoq rookie cards yesterday. Today, questioning my decision. That's awesome. So what year was a Pete Lecoq rookie card? 75? 76? Everything is new to you each time you blink, LRS. You pulled up your skirt and lived life like normal. That's what Max says. Value Box Digger says his mom had to bring the Nintendo home. Hey, Mom, bring me my Nintendo. And give it to him right away to surprise him because he was still a little shit and would have opened it and played it, rewrapped it. That's probably why. That is probably why. Low Roller says video games crash in 1980. Nintendo saves video games. No, I didn't keep any of the video games. Actually, there is more adults that play Magic the Gathering than kids, which is surprising to me. Well, Magic the Gathering is surprising. I had somebody come into the show, the last Madison Card Show, and like, I don't know. Like, to me, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of that's the same. Like, I just assume those are all the same thing. So if you have Pokemon, you have Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and anything else. Apparently, that's not the case. Somebody's like, yeah, there's like no Magic the Gathering at this card show. And I'm like, oh. So I guess I know that now. So if somebody's like, is there Magic the Gathering? Probably not. Probably not. Brian says, I'm creating a display for my 2016 Cubs autos. All are raw. I want to make sure they are UV protected. Anyone use a UV protected top loader for cards they can recommend? I don't use it. What I up here, that's a UV glass. I still don't trust it. Like, I'm still nervous about that, even though it is UV glass. So I don't know. Corey, what's up? Good morning. Max says that was in reference to having your childhood, early adult years on social media. What was that? Oh, you pulled up your skirt and lived life. Oh, okay. James says, me and my junior high crew played 007 on Nintendo 64 for months. See, I never got into. My friends were big into 00, and they're like, oh, let's play 007. It's like, that game sucks. I want to play Madden. I was only into sports games. And then like the once PlayStation came out, I got Driver. Oh my God, that was the greatest game ever. Gran Turismo. Holy shit. Me and my buddy Chuck would play Gran Turismo forever. And every once in a while I hear the song, Super Bon Bon, Super Bon Bon. Oh shit, it's really coming down now. Oh, we got wind and snow. We got whiteout conditions in rural areas. Be careful out there. Super Bon Bon, Super Bon Bon, Super Bon Bon. Soul Coughing sings that song. So every once in a while I hear that song, and that was on the soundtrack to Gran Turismo. So if I hear it, I'll like text my buddy like, hey, Super Bon Bon, Super Bon Bon. So yeah, I was into the racing games and the sports games. Gran Turismo, Twisted Metal, Driver, of course, Madden, NBA Live. Did not get into like 007. I was into Doom for a little bit. Nintendo, I loved Contra. I was into more like, I was more into like sports games on Nintendo, kind of like besides Tecmo Super Bowl, like any other sports game on regular original Nintendo kind of sucked. So you play Super Mario, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Contra, some good games on Nintendo. Christian says, in high school, a major winter storm was coming. School for sure to be canceled. My buddy and I went out, rented a bunch of games. At 3 a.m., we broke a controller playing wrestling. We drove out in the storm to get a new controller. Stupid things teenagers do. Absolutely. We had when I was working in radio, and we had like a blizzard, and I didn't. At this point in time, my studios were in Monmouth, Illinois, which is about 30, 40 minutes drive, like all country. So I didn't work. And I think I think by this time I had like a remote, like I could log into our system from home. So I could also like play video games. And so, but I didn't have any video games at this time. So I drove out into the blizzard. Now, again, I was like in Macomb, and it was like 2 miles. It was like basically the same distance from my house now to the post office was my house then to downtown Macomb. And I went to, Mark Twitchell will know. Oh shit. It was on the square, downtown square. It was the music store. And they had, I think I had bought like one of those Nintendo, like the cheap, like $20 consoles you can get on eBay. It's not Nintendo, but it plays your consoles or your games on the console. So I went, but I didn't have any games. And so I drove into this blizzard and bought like the Skate or Die, and I think double dribble. They didn't have Tecmo Super Bowl. Where are we at? Shane says grade school on snow days. That meant snow football games in the backyard all day with friends and neighborhood kids. High school was more of a time I would play video games on snow days. I think same here. I think when we were younger, we would play snow football, and then like in high school, we would play video games. Because I think in high school, you're like playing sports, and your coaches would smack you across the face if they caught you playing backyard football. So yeah, more video games. Mark says I was snowed in with the New York Knicks when they trained at Uppsala College. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. I lived on campus and used to go down the field where they practiced. Patrick Ewing was actually a decent human being then. Is he not decent now? Correction, field house, not a field. Shane says, yes, Ryan, I noticed that too. It's the greatest thing. I think that's going back to the old eBay algorithm. Value Box Digger says 7 of 10 times the watchers on eBay are keeping track of the card versus wanting 10 cents off. That's, I use, as a buyer, I use watch an item for 2 reasons. Number one, it's like, I kind of want it, but I don't. Like, if I get an eBay gift card for Christmas, I'll come back to it. Or I watch an item because I'm going to buy it, but I'm going to watch it to get a discount. And if it's 10 cents off, it's 10 cents off. Because sometimes, like, I'll watch an item. Like, if something comes up that I want to buy, I'm going to watch it for like 24 hours and wait for an offer. And sometimes it might only be like 10% off, but I would have bought it at full price anyway. So if I get any extra, savings, I'll take it, because not everybody puts offers on their listings. So in that case, if there's an offer, I'll just send an offer. I don't need to watch it. So sometimes that's how I handle it. But I do and it might be like 30%, like 7 of 10 watchers are just keeping track of the card. 30%. I bet 30%. I bet I probably get about a 30%, maybe 20, 25% return on, like, people actually buy. When I send offers, people actually buy them. Neil says, growing up in Boston, back in the 70s, school cancellations were announced over the radio. Yeah. That's how in the 80s in Illinois, we were listening to AM radio. Talking Tatis, KYW 1060 AM Philadelphia. That's where I found out as well. Everybody was listening to KYW. Schools close faster with snow in this decade because kids have been hurt way too much waiting at bus stops or buses getting in accidents. It's a safety thing now. Adults text and drive. It's a good point. Brian Wolf in the house. Good morning. They get hurricane days in Miami. Max doesn't even know what radio is. He's our millennial. Mark's in the house. He's a boomer. Us boomers had to walk school in the snow uphill both ways. Value Box Digger, still see the grass in this blizzard, so it's a man's blizzard of 8 inches. Yes. No, I think the snow has just started. Maybe we might not have even got any snow. It was, according to the weather yesterday, we were not supposed to start getting any snow until 6 a.m., which I think we got a little bit of snow overnight, but like just a dusting. So now we're in for it. Talking Tatis has a hot take. Penix will stink as a pro. I would agree with that. Now, I'm pretty shitty at identifying talent, especially in football. I don't like any of the quarterback prospects. Now, I'm sure 1 or 2 of them will have good careers, but I don't think there's like a superstar in this upcoming NFL draft. I don't think Caleb Williams will be. I don't think Drake May will be. I don't think Jaden Daniels will be. I don't think Michael Penix will be. Who else? I think there's one other quarterback that's first round. There's like 5 quarterbacks that could be first rounders, and I don't think any of them will be. I think 2 of them will have solid careers, but I don't think any of them will be superstars. Low Roller says, too bad Green Bay Packers make the playoffs. Bears watching at home. That is correct. Shane says, after that performance yesterday, I wouldn't doubt it, Tatis. Mark says, I'm not a professional football scout, but Penix has a terrible throwing motion. Mikey's in the house. He says, good morning. It's like snow, rainy at the same time here. A little slushy. Peter says, no, gross. Good morning, Mark. From cold Florida, 60 and cloudy at the beach. Oh, you poor soul. It's 32 and snowing here. It is right now. It's a very picturesque wintry snowfall, which is by the end of the day, it's going to be, God damn it, we got 8 inches of snow on the ground. Talking Tatis says, agreed, Mark, not a pro scout, but I'm watching for 50 plus years, so I do have a baseline. John says 75. Shane says he couldn't see the field yesterday either. So many wide open receivers for huge gains, if not touchdowns. Overthrowing wide open receivers when he does see them. He wasn't on top of his game. Shane says if pressure gets to him that much, the NFL won't be for him. JJH, what's up? Do you promote your listings on eBay? How much does it cost? Well, I do. I promote every single listing. I use the dynamic ad rate, which is variable depending on what eBay chooses, it seems. But I cap it at 10%. Actually, or 12. I think it's 12. I think I moved it up to 12%. I cap it at 12%. So basically it costs 12% of your final sale. So it's basically an additional 12% final value fee. So on top of your already fees, it's basically 25% final value fees plus your transaction fee. So it works. It works for me. The numbers work out. To some people, they may not want to take on that additional cost, but I do. And it works. It makes my numbers work. And I'm okay with it. Low Roller says in the 1990s, I was getting paid to search online. By the way, I have to request by a check. I was ahead of my time. I was doing the work online in school when I was a kid in 1990. Cooter says, I don't see Rhino's headless corpse. I put him away. He was taunting you. So I put him away. I cleaned off the tape. We had the cleaners. The cleaners have already damaged. I could have blamed what did you do? I could have done that. But that would have been mean. What did you do? Speaking of that, though, my wife ordered this. This is a whole thing, okay? My wife ordered this table thing. It's got a name. I don't even know what a curio is. I don't think it's a curio, but it's something, it's decorative, but it has there's some usefulness to it. But anyway, it comes white glove delivery back in July or August, and it's one of the legs is damaged. So we note it, and it's custom made. So they have to make another one. They deliver a second one, which is also damaged, but even worse than the original damage. So we just completely decline it, send it back. We order it a third time. The third one was damaged before it left the manufacturer or wherever. So now they've got to custom make a fourth one, and we still have this damage. So yesterday morning, Biscuit threw up. Biscuit sometimes gets a sensitive stomach. She's okay, but she just pukes. So my wife buys these expensive rugs, which stomach acid and fancy rugs do not mix. So my wife comes down and she's like, okay, Biscuit puked this morning. Kind of keep a closer eye on her today. Yada, yada. So she's like, okay. So after lunch, I hear the the dog getting ready. I'm like, shit. So I race upstairs and I I'm just too late. I'm a second too late. Biscuit's puking on the rug again. So I texted my wife. Now, you're like, what? Just clean it, you dumbass. No, because they have to be cleaned a certain way. Like the other rug was like under warranty, and like if you clean it, it voids the warranty. So we had like my wife had a paper towel over this puke for like a week before we heard word back from the rug maker. So I text my wife, like, I'm not just going to clean this up because I might clean it up the wrong way. So I'm like, I text my wife, Biscuit puked again on the rug. And she's like, okay, don't do anything or whatever she texted me. So I take Biscuit outside. She goes potty. She's done puking. No, she's like, I'm done puking. Let's go play. And the cleaners pull up. I'm like, son of a bitch. Now I got to tell the cleaners, don't clean the rug or don't do anything. So my wife's like, I'll be home in 10 minutes. Okay. So she like does her thing. She calls like a carpet company to come take the rugs to clean them. And so the workers, they're like moving the heavy furniture around. Like I moved all the smaller stuff, and then they moved the table and this thing that's damaged already. And I said, hey, by the way, this leg's already damaged. So, and he's like, oh, thank God. So, I could have said, don't worry, Headless Rhino, what did you do? But the cleaners have damaged two of my bobbleheads. Jorge Soler, they like snapped his bat. I think they were both bat snaps. They haven't decapitated yet any of my bobbleheads, but they've damaged like two of them. And it's like, I don't care. Twisted Metal 2. Value Box Digger says, turn that camera around and let's see that snow. Well, there's really not much to show you right now. We've just got a little dusting right now, but it's coming down. Once we get more, I'll send a picture. Max says, GoldenEye was the best game of the 90s. Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64 were close seconds. N64, the best console ever. I was never a 64, N64. Like, my friends would play GoldenEye, Mario Kart. Like, what's the deal with Mario Kart? Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's kind of a dumb game. Like, if I want to play, I love racing games, but not Mario Kart. It just seems like a kid's game. I think that's my hot take for the day. Mario Kart is for kids. If I want a racing game, I want like Grand Theft Auto, like the newer one. The originals were blow. Like Driver, which was ahead of its time. Amazing game. Shane says, oh my God, 007 and Twisted Metal. Yes. There you go. Take your snow day, play a little Twisted Metal. Brian's in the house. Good morning. Late to the show since the kids are home. Snow day. Is it a snow day or is it a remote learning day for your kids? And your kids are pretty young, so I don't know do they even do remote learning days yet. Johnny M says, if you were 30 years old and living with your parents, you are not an adult. Bob Hosta says, my dad and I played so much Gran Turismo, had an incredible garage, and then one day the memory card was just wiped. We were devastated. Oh, that's the word. That's brutal. Mikey says, I just got done swimming and doing physical therapy. It looks like a great day to list cards and ship. If I sell anything, well, you will. Just list more cards. Low Roller joined PayPal in 2003. Since I'm making money as early 1997, I am early adopters making money online. There you go. Max says, I'll argue that point, Johnny. What do you think? Why do you think that? Johnny and Max going at it. Diamond Girls 2, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. Low Roller, did you see 13-year-old kid finally beat the Tetris game? I did see that, and I'm shocked it's never been beaten before. 37 years to beat Tetris. I had no idea it was an unbeatable game until now. JW, good morning. Snowing pretty good in Southwest Michigan. It's starting to come down. Like since I started the show this morning, it's really coming down now. Oh, there's a dog in the park. Oh, the dog in the park is loving this snow. Oh, that good boy's having a good time. Where are we at? John says, I think the reason you stayed in on snow days as you got older was you were expected to shovel the driveway and say, oh, that's a good point. Now I got to fucking shovel. And Value Box Digger says, hope that's not in reference to Magic players. There's a lot of really successful people that play that game, same as baseball card collectors. Mark says, as a kid, I shoveled snow to finance my football card collection. A good day meant $20 and a shitload of packs. Yeah, back then, man. How much were packs back then? A quarter? Oh, that's some good money. Value Box Digger, it wasn't cool to collect baseball cards as a grown adult until 2020 when everyone said, oh, they're worth money. Now, I was collecting. Was it cool? I don't think collecting cards, generally speaking, baseball card collecting is cool. Like, I don't think it's ever been cool. Maybe in the early 90s, and I don't think it was cool then. It was just everybody did it. And then, like, once I hit like 30, I didn't care what was cool. Like, when you're in your 20s, you care. Like, you hide your cards. Like, if you have a girl over, you don't tell your girlfriend that you collect cards. It's just like, it's in the closet. You hide everything. And then once you're 30 and you're married, it's like, fuck it. What do? Sell baseball cards out of my basement. Let's see. Low Roller says, when I was a kid, he was making money online. Shane says, LRS. I did see that. There are a ton of different levels where certain lines and moves cause the game to glitch. You can go further, but first human to glitch game. Pretty cool. Let's see. Low Roller says, we have never had a tornado day. I mean, at least when I was in school. I will say, I take that back. There was a tornado day last year in my school district where I grew up. That I had, because they were predicting like this huge storm that's going to produce tornadoes. They canceled school. They let school out early because of a tornado that never came. Like, you can't predict, like, but I think that week, like later on that week, I was back home and I ran into one of my classmates who has kids in the school, and we're just talking, and I'm like, I think our senior year in high school, we had a tornado day, but they kept us at school. Like, it was, and I think I talked about this when this happened last year. Like, they kept us at school, and I think somebody disputed wouldn't the school be safer than like being out, or like some people's homes, or if they live in like a trailer, or like, that's not safe. Wouldn't a school be safer? And I think somebody said, no, schools are dangerous for tornadoes. But we were kept, because I think like the storm rolled in like as the school day was getting out. So we had to stay till like 4:30. And I don't think I was even in school. I think it was my senior year, and it was like, because tornado season in Illinois is like middle of April through the summer. So I think as seniors, you get out like a week early. And I think it was like the week between we as seniors, we were already out of school. And so we're like laughing like, aha, you got to take finals and stay an hour after school because of a tornado. So I think I was working at the grocery store at the time that they're like, oh, they're keeping the kids at school because of the storm. People are running in, getting their bread, milk, and eggs. Bliss Cards is here. What's going on? Good morning. eBay shipping done. Rainy, crappy day in Knoxville, Tennessee. Snowy, crappy day here. Heat wave. We had heat. Did we have heat days? We got out early, like usually the first week when I was in school, because the high school, and I still think they don't have air conditioning in the high school. We didn't have air conditioning. So those like late, and we were out of school in mid-May. which means you started school in mid-August. So those first 2 weeks were pretty brutally hot in the school. So we'd take, some classes, we'd go down to the new section of the school that had air conditioning. The media center, which is just the library, had a fancy name for it, had air conditioning. So we would go to the media center and have class, or just to beat the heat. Max says, you're a millennial too. I am not a millennial. I'm not. I'm like right on what millennials start in like 1982, depending on some 1980. I was born in 82. So I am definitely not a millennial. But I'm not Gen X. We have this weird, from like 1977 to 1983, they have this like micro generation. There's like multiple names. I think Xennial is kind of the most common term they use for this micro generation that splits between millennials and Gen X. John says the Pac-10-12-2 has been soft in football and basketball for decades. It's a strange take, but it's true. I agree with that completely, 100%, especially in recent memory. And I also don't know what to call it anymore. Low Roller won prizes on TV. Had to enter a secret code by going to the TV website. He won $100. Cold hard cash. You don't have to. Yeah. He was worried about paying taxes, but got paid cold hard cash. No taxes on that. Max says it's a racing game. Gran Turismo is dumb. Gran Turismo is the shiznit. N64 is king. What an epic console. He won $1,000. Low Roller Scratcher just wins all kinds of money, doesn't pay taxes. Brian says, LOL, Mario Kart is the only game I play on my phone. And Brian is 46. Okay, this is peak dork right here. The only game I play on my phone. The only game I play on my phone. Have you ever heard of this? It's called GeoGuessr. All right. So single player. Classic. I don't like the world. I like the United States. So it shows you, it's basically like a Google map. And you have to guess based on like this. And you're looking. So I'm thinking this is. And sometimes there's clues. Like sometimes they give you, look at, like, can you imagine you're on this game and it's like, oh, hey, you left all your fucking trash and toys in the front yard. Hey, Ma. So I'm seeing, I'm looking off into the distance. It's definitely not Illinois. It's not Wisconsin. I'm thinking it's out west. I'm going to say like somewhere in Colorado. So what you do is you click on this map, brings up the United States. So we're going to say, that's probably somewhere in Colorado. Actually, you know what? That might be like Northern California, maybe. What do you think? I'm going to say Colorado. All right. I'm just going to put it over by Denver. Fuck, it was Northern California. God damn it. So it was up on the Oregon-California border. So GeoGuessr, that's the only game I play on my phone. Max is in the house. Good morning. Build a Chicago Cubs snowman when enough snow is on the ground. See, I don't want to go outside. I've got a shovel. I'm going to snow blow today. It's coming down, snowing harder now. I've got to go outside and snow blow this afternoon. Smash the like button, Donald says. Thank you. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Max says, VBD, making some good points today. Everybody doing it equals cool. But everybody's not doing it. Like we are. Like there's 71 people watching. And we are nerds about baseball cards. But like friends in real life, not our internet friends, but our real life friends that we see like in person, and Although some of you are real life friends, we've met in person. You're all friends. But until we meet in person, we're still internet friends. And I'm not talking about a card show. Like, you go out to dinner with your friends, and I bet they don't think baseball cards are cool. Most of my like non-baseball card friends are like, how do you make any money doing that? Like, one of my when I was back for a funeral, one of my cousins was like, what are you doing now? I'm like, selling baseball cards. He's like, what? He's like, you make money? I'm like, yeah. How? Like, just like with anything, you buy low and sell high. You make profit on that. It's funny what the outside world thinks. Mark says, when my girlfriend first saw my Mets and card rooms, he didn't run. She's like, there you go. My wife adapted to my when we first started dating. I had like maybe 20,000 cards, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's the most cards I've ever seen in my life." Oh, just wait, honey. My card collection is going to grow with our relationship. Shane says, no tornado days that I remember. Only time we would have had a tornado day would be if tornado was predicted in the morning. We would have a 2-hour delay or some crap. Otherwise, we were in the hallways. Same here. Like, the only tornado days that I can recall are my senior year, which I was already out of school by like 3 days. And then last year, they actually had a tornado day where I think they got out early or something. I can't remember. They're like, there's going to be a tornado today, so we're just going to cut you off at noon. Grinding for good. What's up? Happy Tuesday. Low Roller says millennials start in 1980. I don't accept that. I'm not a millennial. Shane says, yep, no AC in the middle school. I remember those hot, miserable days sweating in class. Those were the worst. Max says, weren't you born in the 80s? 80s to mid-90s are millennials. I don't accept that. 1983, 84 starts the millennials. One too many L's. Yep. That whole comment, Max, was an L. Brian says 81 to 96 millennial. You're one of us. I am not. I don't accept it. I refuse the invitation of the millennials. Bliss Cards Media Center makes me think of the OG flip phones. Oh yeah, we'd go to the Media Center and play on the old IBMs, the Boomerang, the Gorilla Boomerang game on those huge IBM, the Media Center, which was like the computer lab of like 8 computers. See, and I think that's why they created this micro generation, because if you were born between like 77 and 78 and like 83, 84, it's so much different. Like, if you were born in like 87 or 88, like, you were already exposed to the internet and to computers like at a very young age. Like, if you were born before 77, 78, you had like no computers you had Apple IIs. Like, you were growing up on Apple IIs. You had no internet in school. But then in that micro generation, like 78 to 83, you like grew up with technology. So like when I started school, we didn't have computers. Like when we got to like second, third grade, like there was one classroom computer, like all the way up until junior high. And it was like an Apple, early on, it was an Apple II. And then like, I don't think we got the IBMs till junior high. And you could play Oregon Trail. I think once we got, so in my junior high we had computers. We had one single computer class in 3 years of junior high, and it was on Apple IIs. We played Oregon Trail, and we created on MS-DOS or whatever the hell it was. We created like trivia games and shit. We took our typing on Apple IIs. And then once we got to, and then I think by that time, like the Media Center computer lab of 8 computers was IBM's. You know, we still didn't have internet until like the end of high school. Like the internet wasn't readily available until like my sophomore, junior year. So like We just kind of grew up with technology. And for a slightly older generation, they didn't have any of that. I mean, outside of the Apple IIs and Oregon Trail. And then if you're a few years younger, well, all of a sudden, well, you've got the internet for most of your school days. Billy Joe says, man, you're old for a young guy. I am. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I shop for shoes that are comfortable. I'm an old soul. And I think that's why I don't relate to millennials. I'm a boomer, man. Like, I'm not even Gen X. Gen X was cool. Like, I want to be cool like Gen X, but I'm not. I'm a boomer. I'm an old guy. Sorry for the boomers that are in the chat. Sorry for the boomers that are listening. Brian, Xennials. There you go. That's the little micro generation. Xennials. The definition given is a member of an age group born after Gen X and before the millennial generation, specifically late 70s, early 1980s. Thank you, Brian. Brian's on Team Xennial. Porter's in the house. Looks like California. Reminds me of the ET neighborhood. Oh, that's a good point. It was, by the way, Northern California. Max says baseball cards were cool during the pandemic. I don't think they weren't cool to like any of my friends, like my non-card friends. They're like, aren't those for kids? Like, I've had friends tell me that, like, during that phase, like, dude, I haven't collected kids since I was 10. Shut up. Bliss cards. I know GeoGuessr. It's crazy. There are some ridiculous YouTubers on that game. So I'll play duels, and like some of these motherfuckers are good. Like, and like the duels, I haven't figured out how to do a duel in the United States because I don't know the world. And so I'm like, I don't know, is that Africa? No, you dumbass, it's Mongolia. But like US, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with the US. So I wish I could do a duel with the US. I haven't figured it out. Brian Bourne said, in real life, friend. Woo! See, I know Brian's been to my house. We're real life friends. Bob Hosta. My family wife's eye glaze over the moment the word card comes out of my mouth. Yeah. One of my wife's friends came over and like showing the house, and she took one look at the card room, and the words that came out of her mouth, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Nope. Max says, I get asked about them all the time because they have to spend their time with their wives and kids and dirty ass pets. Porter says, just catching up on the chat. I was born in June of 82. Hey, June 82. June 6th is my birthday. Porter also does not identify as a millennial. Me neither. We are Xennials. Talking Tati says, my real life friends think I've lost my mind. Same. Time will tell. I may be going hell in a bucket, but at least I'm enjoying the ride, Garcia. Max says, non-baseball card friends think sports cards only for kids and growing out of cards. Exactly. Like, oh yeah, cards were cool when I was 8. Well, they were cool when I was 18, 28, 38, and they're going to be cool when I'm 48. Unfortunately for you, says Max, it doesn't matter what you accept. No, it does. It does matter. And nobody gives a shit how you identify besides you. Yeah. And I don't care what you think. I don't care if you think I'm a millennial because I'm not. Tracy says, good morning from the car. Grinding for Good says, had a week off for Hurricane Gloria in high school. Oregon Trail was so hard, you think you're sure about to make it to the end of the game. Says, not so fast. You have a terrible case of the measles. Then you die, game over. Dysentery. Do you remember, speaking of video, do you remember an internet game? Oh my God. It was similar to Leisure Suit Larry. And it was like a choose your own adventure. And so this was when I was in high school. It was like the coolest game ever. But it was very, it would have been Me Too'd out long ago. It's about this dude getting laid all the time. What the hell was it? Does anybody remember this game? It was an internet game in the late 90s. Like I was in high school when me and my friends would always play this game, and hat trick, because he got laid 3 times in one day. It was a very crude video game on the internet. Does anybody? It was similar to Leisure Suit Larry, something like, along those lines. And I cannot remember the name of that game. Does anybody remember what I'm talking about? Brian says, those are social constructs. Be whatever you want. Yeah. 21 degrees in Tombstone, Arizona this morning. Holy shit. That's colder than here. It's 32 right now in Wisconsin. Talking Tati says, we're boomers. We're not so easily offended as the following generations. Our parents could still hit us, and everyone nodded in agreement. Where are we at? John says, I text with a friend each Sunday about football, and my friend, bass player for the 10,000 Maniacs, hey, picked out the Steve Carlton rookie in the background. That's pretty cool. I was fairly excited to chat about cards, but the convo shifted quickly. We're in this small, like, little zone where we think it's cool, but like most of everybody else does not. Max says, yes, how pretentious. We don't want to be part of the older generation because reasons, but we aren't part of the younger generation because reasons. We will just take a few years off each. Well, that's kind of like everybody. Like, that's every generation. Like, boomers hate millennials. Millennials hate boomers. Gen X and our micro generation of Xennials. Holy, it's really blowing and snowing now. I would not want to be out driving in this. We just don't give a shit. But we also, we give shit enough to not want to be associated with those other generations. Like, you're cool, you suck. Kind of like that. Oregon Trail just updated. You die by getting sucked out of a Boeing 737. Not Leisure Suit Larry. It was similar to Leisure Suit Larry. It was an online game. It was a website. And it was like a choose your own adventure of like this. Basically like the hell was it? Okay. So I gotta Google this. Okay, similar 1990s website game like Leisure Suit Larry. Very similar to Leisure Suit Larry. Wow, there's a Reddit that says a game like Leisure Suit Larry. This post contains mature content. Yes, I'm over 18. Let's see. Oh man, it's driving me nuts. And as soon as I hear it, it's Bone Town, brother. No, not that. As soon as I read it, see it, oh my God. I want to be careful what I Google. I'm just getting a lot of Leisure Suit Larry content. Damn it. And I think this is a game only my little micro generation will remember. CR is in the house. Just watched a Jeff Wilson clip where he made $30K on a gold kaboom, and he even included the clip where he negotiated seller down from $9K to $7K. Even if you have a gold kaboom, you will get lowballed, and you won't sell it unless you hand the buyer $30K in profit. Shane says, did anyone play the computer game Myst as a class in school? That was super fun. It's a clue game. I remember Myst. I think that came out after I was out of school, maybe. I don't remember Myst. I don't remember playing. I remember the game, but I don't remember ever playing it. Max was born in 1989. I now identify as a Xennial. Nope, you're not in our club, man. We don't accept you. We do not accept you. Porter says, hey, look, we have something in common, except that I hate the Cubs. I heard what you said about the Cardinals when I watched the replay yesterday. Cram it up your stupid Cardinals. I hate the Cardinals. You can hate the Cubs. I can hate the Cardinals. I won't take it personally. John says, I met Little Rock Connie in 1989. Oh, yeah. Bob says, I wish less people thought it was cool so I could win a few more auctions. Good point. Grinding for Good says, join Gen X. Max won't let me. John says, are you over 18 or do you identify as younger? I am over 18. Gen X not accepting any more applications. Well, shit. Hockey Barn Collectibles. Get Larry drunk, laid, and eating him, getting sick and die. Classic. We played wood shop in school. The fuck? It's amazing you guys know how to tie your shoes. It is. Sometimes it is amazing. Bob Boozle says, why didn't the next generation after baby boomers start with a C? They jumped straight to X. That is a good point. Like, why all of a sudden did it become Generation X, Y, and Z? Is there a generation? Is Generation Z like the current kids? What's Generation Y? Max says, John, we programmed the computer to build your shitty wood construction. No, we didn't, because we weren't alive when John was in school. How could we do that? It's driving me nuts trying to find this game. What the hell was this game called? Okay. Late 1990s website games. Play 90s games online. Old web browser games. Maybe this is it. Just give me a list, man. Type in R-rated. I'm not going to jump to X-rated just yet. Late 90s Flash game website. Yeah, because it was a Flash game. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Flash. Oh shit! What did I do? F11. Flash website. Let's see if this works. Wasn't Lenny's Walkabout? Oh, here's a great website. The Can't Remember the Name of This Game Archive. If you have a question, please leave it here. Okay. Flash game. Jackal. That looks like a fun game. Breakneck. Oh, these are like, that's Sega. Oh, man, I can't find it. All right. I was hoping somebody knew. Where are we at? John says we use saws and hands. And because we're Xenials, we can give each other shit and not get offended. That's right. John says, Jesus. Bob says, Generation Alpha, ironically, will be the wimpiest. You think Noah's Ark was built with computers? Let's see. Max says, and we used computers to do your work so we can sit back, get the same work done, and have a beer. The Ark obviously wasn't built with computers. What's your point here? We have become more efficient as a society. Porter says we used computers for thermonuclear warfare. Don't worry, 70s card show. We only played it on short school days. We had woodshop and home ec, which I don't think home ec exists anymore. Nope, they had to change the name. Who cares about what generations we are? As long as you are healthy and well, enjoy life. Yeah. Listen to Max. Listen to this Max, not the other Max. Brian says, I remember the name of the game now. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It was not Carmen Sandiego. It was like an X-rated Carmen Sandiego. Ken's here. What's up? Just got here. What the hell did I miss? We're just bitching about generations. Max hates all generations except his own. John hates all generations except for his own. Some of us love computers. Some of us hate computers. Yada, yada. John says it may surprise you, Max, but a good portion of my job is drafting with CAD, controlling things by several different network protocols through a thorough understanding of high and low voltage systems, and direct and communicate with real live people. I had to teach myself all of the above, so kudos to me. There you go. Oh, it's driving me crazy. I can't remember the name of this damn game. So we're going to wrap it up. 90 minutes in. It's a snow day. We got lots of snow coming down. Let's see. So have a great day. Brian needs some help with his CAD work. His 3D print designs not working well. Have a great day. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. We're going to be adding some more inventory this week. No shows on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as I'll be at the Cubs convention. So we'll be back on tomorrow and Thursday. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.